Come on in, everyone. Come on in because we are here for Love and Marriage Detroit, Season 2, Episode 4. And they are calling this episode No Love, No Grace, and All Shade. But if you've been watching my videos, you know I like to retitle them. This was a pretty good title, though, y'all. I'm going to say that No Love, No Grace, and All Shade was actually a really good title. But I'm going to slightly retitle it just like my thumbnail said. And my thumbnail says, leave me alone. I'm a black man working. Leave me alone. I'm a black man working. Because there was absolutely a theme to this season. I told y'all Carlos King, he going to break up a couple. Let me tell you something. These ladies on this show, all of them, I'm talking all of them, from Dr. Latoya, Kobe, Christina, the new girl, what's her name, Letitia, and even the other new girl, Kimberly. They all mad at their husbands. And let me tell you, some of them are more angry than others. I think Latoya is pretty angry. I think Kobe is really, really angry and unhappy. And I think Christina is unhappy, but she's really the only one out here really telling the truth. She's the only one out here breaking up, separating because she's really unhappy. But all the other girls are unhappy too. And let me tell you what they're unhappy about. Like I said, leave me alone, black men working. Oh, married women. You will not be happy in your marriage, married women, until you get rid of the fantasy. I'm here to tell you. You won't find happiness until you get rid of the fantasy. And I know you say, well, what fantasy are you talking about? I don't have no fantasy. Whatever it is that you think marriage should look like, whatever it is you think the way your husband should show up in your marriage is a certain kind of way. Whatever it is you think, I'm going to tell you right now, and it's a fantasy. I could tell it's a fantasy because y'all are upset. Y'all are angry. And you're angry that your husband isn't living up to the fantasy that you had. But if you really just look at centuries old data, not just your marriage, you look at centuries old data, your husband is doing what all the other husbands do. Your husband ain't special. I'm sorry to tell you that I know you put a lot of time and effort into picking just the right husband. Except Christina, she just picked a man real quick. I know y'all put a lot of effort into it, but they ain't no different. And let me tell you what I mean by they're not any different. A lot of women really want to believe, here's another bubble buster. A lot of women want to believe that they are the most interesting person in their husband's life. And thus, he's going to want to spend so much time with you. Because you're just so interesting and he just loves you so much that he's going to want to spend all this time with you. Sorry to tell you, he loves you. So this is not about love. Let's get that right. This is not about love. And this is not about loving the women. And this is also not about loving their children. Because I can say that I believe all these men love their wives, and these men also love their children. Now, loving your wife and loving your children doesn't always translate into the type of behavior that the women want. And what all these women are complaining about is that work is more important to you than I am to you. There you go. That's the centuries old data, ladies, right there. Now you're getting to it. Now you are getting, the men will never admit it. They will never admit it. So don't try to get them to admit it because they will never say that to you. They will never say that to your face. But when you look at what they do and not listen to their mouth, it is apparent with all these men that work is really, really important to them. That's where they get their satisfaction. That's where the world praises them. If the men go out into the world, men are going to be praised for two things. They're going to be praised for the work that they do, being a good provider, having a good job, having a good business, bringing home money. That's where men get praised. That's where men get praised by other men. The other area where they're going to get praised by is being a good father. Those are the two main areas. Working, making money. Even if they're single, it's going to be working and making money. Then once they have children, they'll get praised for also being a good father. But where you rarely hear men get praised for is, ooh, he sure is a good boyfriend. Ain't nobody praising no man at work for being no good boyfriend. And they're not praising him necessarily for being a good husband. They will praise him for going his kids' soccer game and participating in kids' events. They get a lot of praise for that. So where does that leave women? Where does that leave women? Oftentimes that leaves women whereby you just can't use the way to motivate a man. It just can't be used because you're unhappiness. This is what I talked about last week. Women. Let go of the fantasy, because we're going to talk about some of these fantasies going on, and you've got to find a way to be happy. You've got to find a way to be happy within your marriage, because once you aren't happy, even when that man does come home or he's there for whatever period of time, you're going to be nagging him. He's going to be more unhappy. And then guess what? You're not happy and he's not happy. You got to find a different way. That is if you want to stay married. So let me talk about this. First of all, that was a long introduction. So if you are here, we're going to talk about it more. But if you are here now on the premiere, hey, y'all. Don't forget to like the video, y'all. Don't forget to subscribe. So when I do these premiere videos, you can be in the chat and you'll know when I'm going to drop each video. So what you got to do, you got to like, you got to subscribe, you got to leave a comment, you got to share the video. I got a whole list of stuff y'all need to be doing. I'm just like a husband. Asking for a whole lot. So let's get going on this show, and then I'm going to interweave a little bit of what I was just talking about as we go along in the show. But first up, we had to catch back up where the double date between LaToya, her man, Christina, and Brandon were playing the knocker ball. And the husbands are trying to get these women to stop fighting, because honestly, I'm going to tell you why they're trying to get y'all to stop fighting is because they're tired of listening to it. They're tired of coming home and listening to your cat fights with these girlfriends. Another reason why he don't want to talk to y'all, because they're really not interested in what you're talking about. If you're one of them women where you want to talk to your husband about how you beefing with one of your girlfriends, they're not interested. They'd rather be at work. They would rather be at work. So if you want to have more time with your husband, you better start trying to find some things he's interested in. This right here, fighting over stuff that happened 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago over the Android phone. They're not interested in coming home from work listening to this crap. I barely want to listen to it, and I'm a whole woman. I don't know. Some of y'all say I'm so male identified. Y'all are listening to me. If you say I'm male identified, then you ought to listen to me, because what you're saying is I think like a man, and I'm telling you right now, men don't want to come home from working hard and listen to how you fighting with another woman over 5 years ago over an Android phone. You ain't going to get no conversation. So that's what I said. Change your conversation. Have an interesting life. Be excited. Be happy. And that will draw people onto you. Not sitting around complaining. All these ladies did all this episode long was complain. I barely want to be friends with them. Be honest with you, because they complain a lot. Chief complainer right now is Kobe. And I know we want to give her a pass because she's pregnant, but the truth of the matter is Kobe was complaining last year when she wasn't pregnant. She really was complaining last year when she wasn't pregnant. This year she wants a pass. She don't want to be called no names because she's a pregnant lady. But she's a complainer. But LaToya's right there with her. And they there at this knocker ball. The men want to get them to make up. And then once again, LaToya is repeating what the streets say. LaToya, you supposed to be more based on scientific data. Ain't you a doctor? You're not supposed to be going off word of mouth. That would make you a quack doctor. Quack doctors like me, I call myself a quack doctor. I be going off of what I see on the internet and what I read and reviews, because I'm a quack doctor. I will prescribe you listen, all my friends know I will prescribe you a concoction of vitamins. And they're like, how did you figure this all out, girl? I've been all over the internet. I am a quack doctor. But LaToya, you supposed to be a scientific doctor. And right now, you telling Christina, I heard about you through the streets, all over the town, all over Detroit. And Christina said, well, call your first witness. Call her. Call your first witness. Let me know who she is or he is, so then I can kind of address it. And Latoya says, sorry, Your Honor, I do not recall. Latoya on the witness stand talking about, sorry, Your Honor, I do not recall. She don't recall nothing. Nothing at all. Christina's fed up. She's like, girl, you over here name dropping, but don't even have no name to drop. Christina was saying, I do know the names, but I don't want to tell it. Girl, you don't know no names. You don't know no names. There is no meat to your complaint. Nothing at all. That's something. That's what I'm saying. That's another reason why husbands will ignore wives, because this stuff be silly. It just gets silly. Like, we're going to get to Kobe. We're going to get to Kobe's beef with her husband, where she says she kind of feels like her husband is always attending to the needs of other people and not to her needs, because she's like a fake alarm fire all the time. She screams arson, fire all the time. Fire, fire, fire. I said last week, when you're with a person who complains all the time, after a while, it just becomes background noise. You don't know which one's real and which one's fake. So the next thing you know, you just start ignoring all the calls. This is worse than calling 911 in the hood. They don't even be showing up till an hour later. What's his name? Russell is treating Kobe like she's the hood. He's like, I show up when I show up. Because these fire alarms and ambulance lights be going off all the time. You ever notice that when you're in the hood, you always hear police sirens, ambulance lights, because they be blowing up 911. That's why I be taking a whole hour to respond. That's Kobe. Kobe is the hood. But anyway, in the end of this little bumper ball, whatever you call, what's it called? Knocker ball. They made up. They hugged it out. They said, okay, we're going to be friends. You know, because Latoya, I do not recall brain fog. Latoya couldn't really bring no witnesses. So the case is dismissed. Latoya, you can't bring no witnesses. You don't have no evidence, nothing. Mistrial, case is dismissed. You don't even have no suit. You don't even have no case. So they left. Everything was good. I know Latoya was happy because she wasn't winning no fights with Christina. She was not going to win no fights with Christina. She got roasted. And later on, she going to get roasted by Chelsea too. Latoya, she really ought to hang this up. Stick to fighting with your man. What is her man's name again? I forget his name already. Anthony. Stick to fighting with Anthony, Latoya, because you ain't going to win no fights with Christina nor Chelsea. They're a force to be reckoned with. And you up here with brain fog and sorry, Your Honor, I do not recall. That ain't going to get it. That's not going to get it. But then in the next scene, we had to move on over to Kobe trying to use guilt on Russell. So she says, oh, you know what? I'm out here in Detroit and it's winter time and I had to pack up my baby and put my baby in a coat and I'm pregnant. I got to get in wear a coat and I got to go down to the gym just to see my husband. Girl, if your husband's always at the gym, then why don't you work out at that gym? She up here telling Russell, you get to do things when you want. You get to go to the gym. Girl, you guys own a whole gym. So if he's working at the gym and you want to go to the gym, why don't you go to his gym and then you can see him too? Why don't you make him put a daycare center in that gym so that you could bring your daughter there too while you work out and whatever, work out and have time with your husband too? Kobe, girl. But you know, that's not the fantasy. You see, Kobe wants the fantasy and she's not getting the fantasy, so she's unhappy. She's really, really unhappy. Kobe really ain't living the life she really thought she was going to live. Kobe was thinking she could be like this entrepreneur. She could also work, but not really depend on her money. Have the satisfaction of making money, but not have to depend on it. So her husband makes all the money. And then she really only wanted one child. And then she wanted to have probably everybody take care of that child. Kobe's like, this ain't working out like my fantasy was. I really wanted Russell to be really into me. And he's more into this job. And then he got this daddy's girl. I done birthed him a daddy's girl. Well, when you went to that gym, Kobe, did you notice something? Did you notice something when you went to the gym? Kobe, you came in dragging. Like this. Like you didn't even want to be there. But your daughter, when she saw her daddy, was, ooh, daddy, what you doing? She was smiling. She was happy. And what did that daughter do? What did that daddy do to that daughter? He picked her up, hugged her, and kissed her. When Russell came over to give you a kiss, Kobe, what you do? And she wondered why he don't want to be around her. Girl, who want to be around that? I'm telling you, when you want to see change in other people, you got to be the change. I'm telling you right now, when you really want to influence change in another person, you actually have to be the one that changes and helps influence that change to see if they can even do it. Because right now, Kobe's method of guilt shaming Russell and being mad at her daughter because her daughter is a daddy's girl and whatever, it's not going to work well for her. She's just going to keep being unhappy. She's got to find a way to change her viewpoint of what marriage looks like so she can be happy in marriage. She's only unhappy in marriage because of what her image is of marriage. But there are a lot of women out here who are single mothers doing less than Kobe has with less, and they're happy, right? So this idea that she has to be happy because Russell isn't performing to her standard of what marriage should look like, she's really suffocating and strangling her own happiness. There are plenty of women who are raising kids, who are single moms, who don't have husbands, and they are happy. So women who are married, you should be able to attain that same level of happiness and then have even more happiness because you're going to have a husband there. The problem is that a lot of married women, what single women do to pour into themselves and make themselves happy, married women tend to think that I want my husband to do that for me, right? And when that husband doesn't do that for them, they're unhappy. And then once the woman is unhappy in the house, she will make everyone unhappy. And that's what Kobe is trying to do. In a lot of ways, Christina, that little conversation she had with her daughters, I didn't like that conversation, having those daughters in on that as well. But that is what will start to happen because the woman will start to try to coerce the husband into performing the way she wants. And oftentimes what the woman will do is, if I could turn my children to start thinking the way I think about my husband, then what will happen is that husband will feel so bad that it's just not me complaining, it's the kids complaining too, and then I will get what I want. The woman is in a lot of ways using the children to get out of the husband what she wants. We saw it on the Braxtons. That's how Evelyn raised her daughters, that what she wanted from her husband, she couldn't find a way to extract it and get it for herself. So what she did was she tried to use her kids, her daughters, to say, listen, we got to be a team as the wife and the kids up against the daddy. And then if we all complain, then he will start to do this. But we know that doesn't work. We know that doesn't work. And I saw a little bit of that with Christina this week, whereby those daughters, the things those daughters were saying about you treat mommy wrong. No, Christina. You know, I like you, Christina. I was on your side last week. But this week, Christina, I'm going to have to get on you. I'm going to have to get on you because that was wrong. That was wrong. Don't use those little girls like that. Do not do that. This is your fight. That's fine. This is your fight with your husband. Let it be your fight with your husband. Do not involve your children in your fight, in your disagreement, and how you're trying to work out your marriage. Okay? Let's not do that. So you had Russell and Kobe over here playing the Dirty Dozens, who can complain the most. And what Russell has done, he's a little bit gaslighting Kobe. Let me tell you what he's doing. He's so used to Kobe complaining that when she steps into a room, he already knows he better have a lot of complaints too now. Because if he doesn't have a few queued up, then what Kobe's going to do is fire off all her complaints, and then it looks like he doesn't have any. So it's almost like you ever go visit an old person, you're like, hey, granddad, how you doing? And he got to run down all the things that is wrong with him. And after a while, you start realizing this is the thing that a lot of older people do. They run down their ailments. And so the way you get old people to start running down their ailments is you walk in and you run down your ailments. Because let me tell you, you go, oh, granddaddy, oh, I'm so glad to see you because I'm so tired. Work is so tough. This is happening and this is happening and this is happening. And, this and that and this and that. And next thing you know, your grandparents will probably listen to you and be like, oh, baby girl, it's going to be all right. Just pray about it. But when you come in with no ailments, they say, well, shoot, I got to fill the conversation with something. So I guess I might as well run down my gout, my rheumatoid arthritis, my backache, my this, my that. I'm telling you. And so what Russell has figured out with Colby is Colby going to talk about her ailments. And now that she's pregnant, she got a whole new list. She got a new list. She already had a list of 20 before she was pregnant. Now she got a lot more. So now when she shows up anywhere to the gym, Russell goes in right away. Ooh, I got work. I got the gym. I got to paint this. I got to do this. And now Colby's like, what? You trying to act like you got more ailments than me? No, you don't. I got more than you. Russell really ain't got no ailments. All that stuff Russell's talking about, he likes to do it. He really likes to do it. It gives him satisfaction. He loves helping all these people. He loves ministering. He loves being an entrepreneur. He loves working. He loves doing all of it. He just got to pretend like he don't really like it. Because if he pretends that he's happy and then Colby's sitting over here unhappy, then it makes him look bad. But Russell is happy with his life. So Colby over here talking about, well, yeah, your heart sure is bigger than mine because I couldn't do it. We know Colby. We know Colby ain't got no big heart. She got a big heart for herself. She wants it all pointed to her. That's the problem. She doesn't mind. She was attracted. What attracted her to Russell was his big heart. She liked it. And she liked it from the very beginning because in the very beginning, he was using his big heart to care for her and to nurture her. And that's what she really liked. And the problem is now he's using that heart to also care for others. And that's the part she doesn't like. Right. And that's the thing. When you meet a person, you can't just expect them to be that way with you. If you meet a person and let's say they're a big talker, you like them because you have good conversation with them. Well, guess what? They're going to be talking with other people too because they like to talk. If you meet a person that has a big heart, sure, they're going to have a big heart for you, but they're also going to have a big heart for other people. So the problem with Colby is she loves Russell's big heart. She loves how caring he is because he does pour into her. He gives her things. But what she doesn't like is he gives other people too much stuff too, right? Her daughter. Right? She's jealous of the daughter-father relationship. Now Colby's complaining about how he gives to other people out here in the streets, help other people. Colby loves Russell's big heart, but she only wants it for herself because Colby is an empty cup. Colby needs to learn how to nourish herself and satisfy herself. And once she learns to do that, she won't be so dependent on her husband to provide all of that for her. And she won't be so jealous of other people who gather or garner any attention from Russell. When Russell told her that he was over Christina's house to help Christina and Brandon, she didn't like it. Colby didn't like it. She didn't like it because once again, what she's saying is, here you are going over to help another couple repair their marriage and our marriage is damaged. How are you going to be over here helping somebody else with their marriage and me and you got problems? Because we got problems. That's what Colby is saying. Me and you got problems, but you got time to go over Christina and, Brandon's house to help them. Okay, Russell. And like I said, the way to your own happiness is get out of the fantasy world. Start dealing with reality. Come up with solutions to your reality that can fill you with happiness. And I'm telling you, you will find happiness in your marriage. And don't let all your solutions be that your husband has to change, your daughter has to change, this people have to change, because then your happiness is held hostage. Your happiness is held hostage until all these people change. So what happens to you is you'll never be happy. Colby needs to find a way to be happy without it requiring what she thinks it requires now. Christina, I think, learned something from this separation with her husband, right? So they show the scene where Christina's working with her daughters. They're doing homeworks. And she talks about that she's had a lot of struggle days without her husband. But one of the things she talked about was that she also learned how to do without him. And I think in that little exercise, what she learned was she wants her husband. She wants to be married. She wants to be with him. But what she learned was that this sort of requirement or thirst is just not necessary, right? That she doesn't have to get to a point where all her happiness and everything she does is centered around what Brandon does or Brandon doesn't do. And I think she discovered something about herself because she had to, because he wasn't there. She had to discover how to balance her home and work life, make herself happy, right? And I think what she's realizing is, wow, I actually have a bit of a better attitude. And if I bring this better attitude and I couple it with my marriage, maybe I can extract the good things of my marriage to layer on to my happiness. And the stuff about my marriage and men that are centuries, years old, that may not change, maybe I need to come to like some sort of reconciliation with that. You know what? It doesn't mean that women are always going to have to constantly point out to men to balance work and family, because men are naturally going to gravitate towards work. And so women do have to constantly tell men, listen, you don't want to miss time with your children. You want to be able to set some time aside for your children, making sure you're involved in their lives, coming to soccer practice, basketball practice, sports, maybe sometimes being a coach on one of their teams. You also, you know what? Women are that voice of reason for their husband, that because women are natural nurturers. So what happens is we know how to nurture naturally. It's just natural to us. And men in a lot of ways have to be taught a little bit of it. But in your teaching, you have to teach, but you can't be this way with your finger waving in their face. And you also have to learn that what is a talent, a God-given talent to women, wasn't necessarily a God-given talent to men. And that's not making excuses for men. But what I'm really trying to say to women, I hope no one misconstrues this as I'm taking up for men. What I'm really fighting for is women to be able to find their happiness even knowing how men are. And a lot of women's happiness is held hostage by not understanding men. So what they do is they require a whole lot of change from men that men are never going to do. And so therefore the women are never happy. And then women, what they do is because they're unhappy, they leave their marriages. We're seeing it with Tia. We leave our marriages because we think that the source of our unhappiness is this man. But really, a lot of the source of our unhappiness is that we haven't found it in ourselves. And I'm not talking about those men that just really do bad things to their wives. I'm not talking about those men should be left. You should divorce them because they're actively and constructively trying to destroy women. But I'm talking about men kind of like the husbands we're seeing here, where the men seem a little bit uninterested in their wives to a large degree. These men would rather work. They rather make money. They rather build businesses. And they do love their wives. They love their children. But what the women want out of them, they don't really want to provide that, because it doesn't provide happiness to them. They don't get all their joy from that. And honestly, the world doesn't praise them for that. The world praises them for being a provider, solving problems out in the world, making money. And, so a lot of times women, you're just not fighting your man. You're fighting society as a whole. You're not just fighting your man. You're fighting society, and you're fighting everyone else out there the way they praise your husband. And I know you want your voice to be the loudest, just like sometimes, you may want, or we may want our voice to be the loudest in our children's ears. And sometimes peers of our children influence them, sometimes even more than parents do. And it's disheartening. You're sad about it. You wish you were the more influencer, but guess what? You're not. So you got to still find a way to still be in relationship with these people, even when your voice isn't the loudest. Even when how do you still get along with your children, love your children, even though there are peers influencing them in ways you don't want them to? Are you still always going to be like this? Same thing with your husband. The world praises them for working, being on their grind. The world praises them for that. And so for you to say, I want you to stop all that, give all that up, and come sit at home with me on the couch, sorry. And I know people say, well, he's not always working. Sometimes they're doing other stuff. Just like, what was the girl's name? Lakita and her husband going to the Lions game. What time is I guess maybe y'all on Eastern time. So when we watch the Monday Night Football at 6 o'clock on the West, it's 9 o'clock y'all time. So you be up watching football to midnight. I guess that's why he's out at night if he got season tickets to the Lions game. What's his name? Bravo. You can forget about them Lions games. Lions ain't winning nothing anyway. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Don't get mad at me, Love and Marriage Detroit people. But where am I in my little storytelling? So anyway, I didn't like that scene with Christina and the kids. I didn't like that, Christina. Stop doing that with your girls. Stop doing that. That's grown conversation. And those girls are cute. They're so cute, but they was having grown people conversation. And I didn't really like that. I didn't like it at all. I love that little girl's prayer, though. That is cute, Christina. You doing right, Christina, on that part. But don't be trying to get them to go against their daddy so that now you can use your girls to try to coerce your husband. I see through that, Christina. I see through that. But the boys had their little golf at Top Golf or whatever else, and all they talked about was, can we get these wives together so they can stop being at home complaining because we don't want to hear all that. And then LaToya tried to get the women together at this little brunch. At least they were sitting at a table with a knife and fork this time, LaToya. Thank you, LaToya. And they had next thing you know, Kim was coming there. And she was coming in all mad and hot. And Christina was like, there go LaToya being messy again. There go LaToya being messy again. But I think LaToya was trying to squash it all because LaToya can't take the heat either. She got in that kitchen and she couldn't take the heat. So she said, you know what? Maybe I need to put this stuff in decent and in order. Because honest with you, all this blowback coming on me, I can't take it. I can't take it. I can't take it. And then next thing you know, Kimberly's sitting over there talking about how hurt she was over the Android iPhone. So first of all, I thought she was mad because they called you mediocre. Now you're talking about it's really because you thought Christina was like a little sister or whatever you called her, like family, like a sister. And really what it is was you was hurt. You was deeply hurt. Were they that good of friends? I don't know. But the other part I want to say about Kimberly is, girl, why everybody sniffing up under Christina like this? Who is Christina that when Christina does not like them or get along with them, these girls are falling apart? Falling apart. Kimberly's falling apart over Christina? I don't know. This is just so odd to me all over Android phone. Kimberly, what was it about Christina that you were so hurt over the fact that a couple of her friends talk bad about you? It's almost as like Christina is the it girl and Kimberly wanted to be part of the it crowd. But the it crowd that Kimberly was hanging around, like the cool girls, talked bad about Kimberly. And so then Kimberly felt bad that her friend Christina didn't take up for her. That's what it feels like. It feels like high school, like Kimberly was trying to be friends with the it girl who's Christina, and Christina had a lot of it girl friends and they all hanging out, and Kimberly comes over to the group and says, hey, Christina. And then Christina's mean girl friends say something to Kimberly, and now Kimberly is hurt because Christina didn't take up for her. That's what it sounds like. It really does sound like that because I already knew it was not about no Android phone. I think it's because Christina talked about she looked at Christina as a sister. It sounds like she was trying to be in Christina's friend group. And if you think back to when Christina and Kobe had this beef, it was the same thing. Kobe was trying to encroach upon Christina's group. Kobe was trying to be an influencer. Remember, Christina had a gig or with a certain company, and then Kobe went over to that same company and was trying to encroach upon a business relationship that Christina already had. And then Kobe was mad that Christina didn't welcome her into her business deal. And back then I was like, well, I don't understand, Kobe, why Christina has to feel obligated to bring you into a business arrangement she already had. But Kobe's feelings was so hurt. She was like, why wouldn't you want me to work with you? It's like, girl, what is this about? So I'm starting to see that a lot of these ladies, there is something about Christina that they love sniffing up underneath her. And when she doesn't just embrace them and invite them into her world, all their feelings be getting hurt. They feelings be getting hurt. And then you had this whole Lakita Bravo scene where I guess he, like she said, you in the street all late at night. And then she's using a little psychology too on her husband. Like I said, all these women are using this quack psychology to get their husbands to stay home with them. And I'm telling you, these husbands, they're not going to respond to it. And I see right through it. So Lakita, she starts using the whole storyline that the real reason she wants her husband home is because she's afraid that he's going to be in danger. Because she had a trauma experience where someone in her family was hurt in the street. He was murdered in a bar. I forget who the person was. I don't think it was her father. So anyway, she has some trauma relating around that. And I'm not going to say that trauma is not real. I'm going to say it's real. But I believe she's using that trauma as another way to coerce and guilt her husband into being home. I think the real issue with Lakita is the issue any woman would have. And that is, if my husband is in the streets all night, all day, in the bar, in clubs, is he cheating on me? That's the real thing. Lakita just don't want to say it. So she really want him home, period, because I don't know what you're doing. You're not texting me. You're not calling me. I don't know where you are, why you need to be out this late all the time. And instead of saying that, she starts bringing up this whole thing about you might get shot in the club. Well, what's he doing? What is he doing? That ain't the bigger concern, Lakita, but that's what she's using. Like I said, these ladies are unhappy with the way that their marriage is going right now. And I'm not saying they're unhappy completely, that they want to get a divorce, but they're unhappy with some of the dynamics. And they've been asking their husbands to spend more time with them, spend more time with the family, and it hasn't happened. So now they start going to these other things. And Lakita is going to this other thing about you might get shot in the club. Girl. It's going to start with you ladies. Leave the fantasy alone. Figure out how to be happy. Okay. And your husband will want to spend more time with you. Because I'm telling you, these conversations they be having with their husbands, don't nobody want to sit around and talk to these women about this stuff. None of it. Their conversation's not even interesting. And then they probably ain't doing enough on their own to have any interesting conversations. They need to get some interesting things in their lives too. Then maybe somebody would want to sit around and talk with them. I'm telling you, the way they are trying to repair their marriages is not the right way. They think it starts with the husband changing. And I'm telling you, it starts with them changing. The change is going to start with them. But Brandon's trying to get back in the house like I knew he would. He's trying to get back in the house because what he sensed from Christina was just what Christina said, that I'm learning to live without you. She said it. She said, you know what? I'm learning that I can do some things without you. I'm learning a lot of things, and it ain't so bad. It don't mean that I don't miss you, Brandon, but it ain't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And now all of a sudden, Brandon is going out trying to buy a ring. He going out trying to buy a ring. Girl, I'm telling you, that'll make him turn around faster than trying to use your kids. So he decides he's going to go out and get a ring, and then he decides he's going to be messy. He really should have invited the niece, Trinity, and Chelsea. He shouldn't have even invited LaToya and Kobe, because they don't even like Christina. They might pick out a bum ring. Why he invite them? But anyway, Chelsea had a few things she wanted to say to LaToya, because LaToya got on that reunion last year and all last season, and they showed those clips of Messy Anthony telling Chelsea, talking down to her, talking about you sitting in the midst of greatness or something. He said, a big ball of shot callers, you better respect us. Boy, Anthony, go sit down. That was so degrading. I see why Chelsea's still upset. You know, it seemed like it came a little bit out of left field. But when you hear the background, that's the kind of stuff that Anthony was saying to Chelsea, I'm glad she called them the Two Stooges. So I didn't have no problem with it. And just like LaToya should do, retreat. Retreat, LaToya, because LaToya can't handle Christina and she can't handle Chelsea. And the more Chelsea started digging in, talking about this little bum story once again, LaToya coming up with a street story. I heard you were saying this about my business. I heard you did this. I heard you did this. And Chelsea saying, do you have a post? Please call your first witness. Please produce your first piece of evidence. And LaToya says, Your Honor, I do not recall. Your Honor, we don't have any witnesses. Your Honor, we don't have any evidence to produce. Girl, LaToya, case dismissed. You and that foggy brain, case is dismissed. Dismissed. Kobe said, let me get out of here. You calling me the Two Stooges. You shouldn't be calling no pregnant woman a name. Woo! Use it for all it's worth, Kobe. Use it for all it's worth while you pregnant, girl. Because the minute you are not pregnant anymore and we still see all this on you, then what? Then what you gonna lean on? And then LaToya couldn't take the heat. She had to get out the kitchen and she says, well, I'm gonna disinvite myself to coming from the event. And then we see the previews and she at the event. Because she went home to that husband of hers and says, I'm not gonna go to the event. I disinvited myself. And her husband, Anthony, looked at her in the face and told her, that's fine. I'm still going. Woo, 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 woo. I told you. You're not the interesting one, LaToya, in your marriage. Anthony is telling you right now, you're not the interesting one. And if you want to sit home and be sour and be mad, so what? I'm going. And it looks like what LaToya did was she put on her lipstick, put on a fancy dress, and she got her butt down to the event too. Woo, all this psychological babble these women are using on these men, it's not working. It's not working. These men, it's not working. Ladies, you need a new strategy. If you really want your husbands to do better, you need a new strategy. The strategy y'all are using, we all sit at brunch and start complaining about, all the things you don't like. That's good. That's good. That's what girlfriends are for. Sit around, complain. That's good. That's good. But at some point in time, y'all got to do something. And let me tell you, just coming up with a whole list of things he gonna need to do, it ain't gonna get you to where you want to go. It ain't. It's not. Find your happiness, ladies. Find what makes you happy. Lean into that. Become happy from the inside out. And I'm telling you, once you become happy from the inside out, your husband will want to spend more time with you. You see, because if Anthony really liked spending a lot of time with LaToya, when she said she didn't want to go, you know what Anthony would have said to her? Man, you don't want to go? I really want you to go. I want to go too, but it'd be so much fun if you go with me. That's what he would have said if he really liked spending time with you. But the minute you said you're not going, he said, that's okay. I'm going anyway. Girl, he don't like spending time with you. He does not like spending time with you. Y'all better turn it around. Turn it around. But anyway, that's it. That's all I got, y'all. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Don't forget to like the video and don't forget to subscribe. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.